Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror film and they discuss it. Today we are talking 1977's The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and that was directed by Charles B. Pierce. I'm your co host, Alec.
And I'm Eric.
And this is a video episode, so we are probably having a little bit of different audio. We're trying our best here to, look at the camera. It's a little different for us. We usually just do audio, so bear with us if this doesn't go according to plan. But we think we look pretty good. You look good.
I'm so tired, as I told you before we recorded, but I feel
I know.
good. I'm just tired.
I know,
Feel
man.
like I look good. My body is looks good on the outside ish, and then inside is just dead. It's dead.
All right. You're like a tree that's just rotting from the inside.
Oh,
It's
oh
just
God, they would chop me down so
like it's
fast.
a pretty tree, and then they touch it, and
And
there's
this is
termites.
gonna yeah, this needs to go.
Well, yeah, so today we're talking oh my God, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which is from 1977, and they actually made a sequel in 2014, which has the same name. So that is not that is not a remake. That is a sequel.
76. This is 76.
So the 76 version is the one we're covering today, but there is a 2014 version
But
which
you said 1977 just a
oh
second ago.
no, it is 77. It is 77.
It
Yeah.
is?
Right?
Okay. Well,
No, 76. You're right.
okay.
76.
Sorry. Just catching you
No,
there.
you're right. Yeah, dude, I mean, like, I liked this. I mean, it had problems. It definitely has problems. Not perfect, but dude, for an early or late 70s movie, like before Halloween, before Friday the 13th, before any of that stuff, this does not get the credit it deserves, right?
I thought the same thing, Alec. And also, like, my lineage is like, you got Psycho that came out in 1960,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
You got Black Christmas 1974. Then this movie, 1976, Halloween was 1978.
Hmm.
This I wouldn't consider a slasher. I'd consider it a horror, where Black Christmas was more of a slasher. But like out of old movies, like I think this is great for like before Halloween came out, before that huge like, oh, we can make money on these movies, you know? And this movie made bank, dude.
Did it? I thought,
Run through the stats
all
real quick.
right. Yeah,
Came
yeah.
out December
Uh,
24th, 1976, Christmas Eve. That's random.
that's bad.
But sure, count it. Its runtime, hour 30. How we like it, Alec. How I like it. Its budget was $400,000, which is a lot for the time.
Yeah.
It made 5 million.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And then its Rotten Critic is 42, Rotten Audience 40. This is also a movie you have to see in theaters. This is a theater experience. Don't watch it on Tubi. You know, you have to see it in theaters. Like, how'd you watch it?
I think on Tubi. It's also free on YouTube. That's what I
Oh, okay.
had.
But with that, unless you have without ads, I have it with I watch Tubi and it's there's nothing worse than and Tubi I think it's great that they have free movies and stuff, but the ads I don't think they have someone that goes in and like
I know.
times where they just do like every 20 minutes or throw in an ad because it cut at some random ass times and
Yeah.
it'd be like Martha Stewart Miracle Grow commercials and I don't know, it really takes you out of the 70s when you see like these flashy cell phone commercials. It's like that kind of killed the vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. I mean, you can get it on YouTube. You can pay for it, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know about who's doing that Tubi, but
Back
yeah,
to your point about Halloween, Black Christmas, all that, like great movie for
and
the time.
also Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was
What
74
year was
too.
that's 74? So that is
Yeah.
another one. I'm just trying when I was watching this, like what movies like does this remind me of
Yeah.
slash would I compare it to?
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw, definitely. Yeah.
Well, this movie, I think, to me, reminded me a lot of like those 50s B movies where it's like the lover's lane and then like a monster comes out. It's like, rah! Like it felt
Yeah.
like a more modern version of
A,
that. Like,
a hint of urban legend too, right? Like a little like
yeah, the hook man at the door or whatever. I mean,
yeah.
the idea of this movie, it is a slasher, but it's also got a pretty big investigation to it, but it's also based on a true story. And they say this is a true story. And it's like it's not, but it is. Like
Texas Chainsaw, you could say the same thing.
Well, this I think is actually more accurate than Texas Chainsaw for sure. I mean,
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
this is based on this series of kills in the 40s called the Midnight Murders, and they took place in Texarkana, which I believe is in Arkansas. It's right over the town
It's
line.
on the board. It's technically Arkansas, but
Yeah.
it's on the border of Texas and Arkansas,
Yeah, so it's Texarkana.
which is a
The
cool name.
Yeah, no, it is. And the director, that guy's actually from that area. So he was like, oh, and they filmed it in that area too. So you're like, okay, this guy grew up in the area. He heard these urban legends and now he wanted to make a movie and film it in that area. So that's pretty cool. And it's based on a real killer called the Phantom. And he got away. You know, he's a serial killer that killed, I think he killed 5 people and then 5 people survived. And he did wear this mask and he did do certain things in this area and he got away with it. So it's like that's pretty creepy. Like there's not a lot of slasher movies that are that realistic. I mean, we did Madman, right? And like about the Madman Marv or whatever from Long Island or something like that.
Portrait of a Serial Killer. Was that the
Mm-mm.
one? No, which one are you talking
No,
about?
the ones from remember the shitty it was like Madman Marv, or
What was that? We've done so many movies.
we
What
just
was
did that
that?
like maybe 6 months ago, but it was like Madman, I think it was called. And that
Yeah.
was
Oh, you're right. That was based
yeah,
off of. Oh my God.
that
Yeah,
was a Cropsey
that was a
movie.
camp one, right?
Yeah, it was a camp movie, but it was about a real serial killer in the 80s or whatever. But I was also thinking like all of those serial killers in the 70s, like Ed Gein and oh my God, Macy, not Macy, Gacy,
Bundy.
Bundy,
Bundy.
Gacy,
Yeah.
all of them. Those are all in the 70s. This was the 40s. Like that was kind of rare back then to have like a prolific serial killer kind of that got away with. This is before the Zodiac even.
Yeah, and I love how this movie starts with it's like right fresh from 1946 after World War II ended,
Yeah.
and it's talking about Texarkana, what's going on in the town. So like it really does a good job catching you up to speed. But you also got to remember, this is only 30 years after World War II when this came out in 1976.
Yeah.
So that's comparable to a movie for us, 1995, which is like, whoa, when you think about that. And World War II to 1976 is what
Yeah.
the timeline we're working with. And we'll get to the ending later, but it kind of brings you back to the 70s. It's really, really cool movie.
Yeah, and it's got like a documentary feel. In the beginning, it has a narrator kind of similar to Texas Chainsaw, and it's just like Texarkana, right after World War II, was a thriving town or whatever. It's like March 3rd, 1946. And it like gives you a breakdown of the timeline of when things were going on. Definitely talks about the post-war, all the people coming back, getting jobs, the baby boom, all that stuff. It hits on that. And I thought it did a good job of setting that up, but it didn't. I kind of felt like they could have used more of the townspeople talking about it, like at certain areas, because there would be like a killing, and then it would show like a little montage of the town with the voiceover, and it would just be like somebody like knocking, a board up on their
It
wall.
slowly progressed, but then it got to the point where this town was afraid to go out at night. Like
Yeah,
they talk about people are afraid to walk by their windows at night. People, the paper boys, which made me laugh too, and it's like the paper boys, they don't deliver paper early in the morning. They wait for the sun to come up and then they
yeah,
deliver paper. So the paper boy's like, yeah, dude, I don't have to wake up at 5. Like I can wake up at 7. Hell
yeah.
yeah. Like
Well, there was a curfew that they put on the town. I mean, so it's got that feeling of a lot of other movies where like Scream almost, where it's like there's a killer in the town, there's a curfew, and they all go to a party basically. It followed Scream kind of followed those same beats. But yeah, I mean, we'll jump into the plot in a second, but I really do think this movie is overlooked for what it is. I mean, you got Bagface, which is Jason for, 4 years later, 5 years later, or whatever. It's the same look. And this really, I feel like just Halloween totally overshadowed this. I don't understand why this wouldn't have been popular too. You know? What? What do you think? What do you think?
well, Halloween was shortly after this, only 4 years after, but a real critical thing this movie was missing, and it might just be just an inch behind the time was the music. It was missing the dun 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 dun. Dun. If you added the Halloween theme to this movie, 10 times scarier. Ten
Maybe
times
you're right.
scarier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the music doesn't really stand
The music's
out.
like harmonicas and like dong, 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 dong,
Oh,
dong, dong. It's not what I would say horror music, right? At all.
well, sometimes there was, but they also did this stupid thing that Last House on the Left did, where they have like ding, 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 like kind of like
There's some
dumpy.
comedy points with like
Ah,
driving into the swamp and like I don't want to drive with him. Like
yeah, it got
there's
like a
a little
little
southern, like kind of like
Dukes of Hazzard.
Andy Griffith, like yeah, like Duke's yeah, totally.
Yeah, they're like, I mean, and also speaking of Dukes of Hazzard, everybody in this town cannot drive to save their lives. Like, I know it's the 40s, but they make these cars seem like they're from like 1910. Like they are the first cars. Even when they brake, they're like slamming on stuff. I mean, half the movie is car crashes, basically.
One other thing, I watched this without subtitles because I was Tubi. I didn't have subtitles on, but there was a scene with Mr. Johnson and like in the not interrogation, but giving a report about how he drove someone, and he's like, and he took my what was the word? He took my bill. What was it? What did he call it?
I don't know.
Um, thinking what the hell was it?
What, what
My
he called.
billfold, and
Oh, yeah.
I was watching it, and he's like, I took my billfold, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what did he just say? So I went back and I looked up what a billfold is, and it's a
Yeah.
wallet. So
Yeah.
I was just like, what the hell is this guy
Oh.
saying? He took my billfold. I'm like, it was just like to me, it was like another language, the Southerner. So I don't
Yeah.
know. That was
Yeah,
just
there's,
me.
I mean, this was filmed in, Arkansas, Texas, all that area. So, I mean, and they use real people from that area. Um, yeah, I mean, the cast is basically like there's the sheriff and he gets overwhelmed by these murders, and then they bring in a Texas Ranger who becomes
Mm,
basically the lead. I mean, there's no love interest in this. It's basically like this buddy cop movie kind of. And then
mhm.
Sparkplug, who's like the guy, I guess he's like one of the rookies, but he works at the desk. That's the director. And
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
cool.
and I liked his character, but he was the comedic relief and he got too goofy and I hated it after a
Was he the
while.
driver with the police cap that
Yeah,
like, yeah.
dresses up as the woman. I was like,
Yeah, he reminded
all
me of
right.
Barney from Andy Griffith's show.
it
100%,
it
that's what it
got a
was.
little bit ridiculous, but yeah, so I mean, I do like the authenticity of it. I do think it got overlooked. I mean, the budget for Halloween I think was 300,000, so it was only a little bit less than this. And I feel like there was more going on in this than Halloween. I
You
mean,
got
the
trains
train, the
and yeah.
cars, it was a period piece, so they had to make
Mhm.
everything look like the 40s. So like, I don't know. I'm so surprised this didn't do well, but
I'm gonna honest confession, never heard of this movie.
you've never even heard of it?
Never heard of this movie. And it's funny, I was talking with my coworker that I've told you about. I talked with him and he was like, I've never heard of that movie. And he's like 10 years older than me. And I was like, actually, so I was hoping he heard of it, but he didn't. And I was like, it's actually really cool. It has like a little fourth wall moment kind of thing. And
Yeah, at the end, yeah.
yeah, but I actually like watched it kind of twice too because I had to stop it last night and I finished it today. Um, but man, it was good. It was good. And then you mentioned The Mask. Can we talk
Yeah.
about The Mask?
Yeah, dude. It's lame now, but back in the day I would have loved it.
I said we shot that little
Oh yeah,
sketch
yeah,
about 10 years ago with Joey Toludo, who's been a guest on the podcast,
yeah.
and those eye holes, call him bullshit. He can't see
I
anything,
know. Yeah.
anything. He can't breathe. It starts in March is the first killing, and then it goes to May when he's in the swamp and he's wearing that mask. I'm like, bullshit, buddy. You are dying in this mask. Like, take it off. If he took it
Yeah.
off, he'd be all disheveled and disgusting.
Well, the whole
Uh,
movie, you
and
see
the
how
eye
he's
holes are like
breathing.
this big, and that
Yeah.
was kind of the mask. And I remember we were shooting it in the daylight too, in the
Yeah.
daylight and it's kind of like Django Unchained too, in that scene with the KKK, and
Oh yeah.
they're like, I can't see a damn shit out of this mask. 100%. That killer can't see a thing. I want to hear the actor say, like, yes, no one's killing anyone in that mask.
Well, his eyes were really expressive, so that was cool. Like he had big eyes, so that helped. But the way he was breathing, dude, it was like the James Gandolfini line from Knocked
Uh,
Up. He was like,
it's like you might as well be waterboarding yourself.
yeah,
It's not easy to breathe like that. And I don't know how thick it was. A pillowcase was pretty thick, and maybe it was a little thinner, but still, I'm like, yeah, dude. That kind of took me out of it because I've worn that mask, and I'm like, mm-mm, not fun for
wow.
anyone.
Yeah, I mean, he had to cover his face. I mean, it probably would have been better if it was a ski mask, but this is creepier, I guess. But
Yeah.
it is the only difference between this and the Friday the 13th Part 2 with Jason's first appearance is it only has one eye hole, Jason. So he only has one eye. The other one you
Yeah.
can't even see out of. But yeah, this look, I like it, especially for the time. And it also reminded me of The Strangers. Remember that movie? Which
Yeah, they have a similar mask too.
I cannot believe we haven't covered that either, dude. We have to put that on the next one. But that's the same kind of look, the bag head look.
Mhm.
Resident Evil 4 has a character that has the same look. So like I think this inspired a lot and it
No
still
doubt. No
doesn't
doubt.
get no, it gets no love. It gets no love.
Yeah.
But so yeah, good look, doesn't have the iconic theme. I think it is based on a real event that actually adds more to it, you know? And it also has the same kind of thing about Halloween where it's like we don't know his motive. You know,
Hmm.
he's a psychopath. The only difference is we don't know his name. You know, Michael Myers, we
Yeah.
know who it is. This guy, we don't know.
I thought briefly he would be a. They mentioned World War II at the beginning. I thought maybe he's a Japanese soldier coming back. For 1 minute, I thought that. Like maybe he's like he wants to seek revenge on the American people that are flourishing in this
Yeah.
economy. I thought that, and I was like, oh, that could be it. And we don't know anything. There's not anything about this guy, motive wise, where he's from, anything.
I know. So it is interesting, and that's the true story. I mean, this guy killed people over like a 2 month period in this area and then got away with it. So yeah, the plot, I mean, the movie basically starts off with there's these two women, or I'm sorry, a man and a woman at Lover's Lane, teenagers making out or whatever, and then this guy just comes and smashes the window and they're screaming, rips them out of the window, all this stuff. But they survive, which is kind of different too. I mean, you would definitely expect them to get murdered in the first opening shot. Like, how often does that happen in a horror movie where the first victims don't die? You
It
know,
wasn't Drew Barrymore, that's for sure.
I
You
mean,
know, like yeah.
every Friday the 13th opens with a murder, you know, and then it's like, all right, now we'll get into the movie. Not this. They're like, okay, we'll have that scene, but they're not going to die. And I was like, that's
That
different.
is a really cool point. Yeah.
So they survive, and then they go back to the hospital, and the boy was in a coma for like 2 weeks, but the girl wakes up, and you're expecting it to get pretty grisly. You're like, oh, did she get assaulted or whatever? And he's like, no, he didn't, but he bit her back and her
Yeah, that
breast,
was
and like,
weird.
yeah. So I mean, they gave him this, he's not a rapist, but he bites women.
It's just he's a lunatic is what you
Yeah.
pick up from it. And I think that adds to the fear. It's like he's not normal. He's not that rape is normal or anything, but like like he's not human almost. I don't know.
Yeah, and it also gives back to the fact that like in 1946, like they had no investigative tools, like no CSI or anything like that. Like because now they do like, oh, we could, the bite marks, we could figure out the dental records or whatever.
They
They
mentioned they mentioned forensics at the end of the movie, but that's like I can't
what
even
is
imagine.
that?
Well, they were checking the bullets, like the bullets match same bullets, but they're like different colors. Like
Yeah.
it's like very like get your duster out and check for fingerprints kind of thing. Like there's
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
back
get
then,
your little magnifying glass and
I was surprised that he had a silencer. The killer uses a gun and it's a silencer. I was like, they had those back then? I had to check and I was like, okay. Yeah, that's the other thing I don't love about this killer is he doesn't have a definitive weapon. Like everybody knows the machete for Jason, and Michael Myers gets a little bit more. He improvises more, but the kitchen knife is kind of his thing. This guy didn't really have one thing he's stuck with, but he
trombone. No,
that can't be his signature
no.
thing. But he did do something, damn, that I thought was interesting that the other guys didn't do. I can't remember now. But anyways, so he lets them survive. They then get investigated by the sheriff, and the sheriff he finds their body, and I thought that scene was pretty cool too. Where it was raining, and the sheriff goes
Yeah,
out and finds the bodies, and I thought that was a sick scene. It looked good.
yeah. Disturbing, but cool.
There were a few shots in this movie that were like really cinematic looking. I mean,
When the
not
guy
all
gets
of them.
pulled out in the beginning from the car was really cool, I thought. Like that,
Yeah,
I can't think of a movie that's done someone getting pulled out of a car until Halloween, really,
I know. It's
that I can think
interesting.
of. But
Yeah, so I mean, it looked really, certain shots were a little amateur, but I liked like the opening theme or the shot of like the sun with like the Town
Hmm.
That Dreaded Sundown. The title card was good. There's shots of them running through the woods I thought looked really cool. So I don't know, some of it was pretty well done. So there's another two lovers that get attacked and they get killed. And now they're like, all right, we're overwhelmed. Like we can't handle this. We're a small town. People are freaking out now. We've got two people that were beaten within inches of their life, two people now that are dead. So the Texas Rangers come in
And this
and
is within a month, technically, right?
yeah, I think
So this
it
is like March to April, technically, right?
so he kills on like a 3 week like period. Like every 3 weeks he kills people.
Yeah, and they're still trying to determine, is it 20 days? Does he go down a
Yeah.
day every time? And is he going to go to like, is it every 20 days and then 19 days and then 18 days? So they're really trying to like find a pattern, which is where the term serial killer kind of comes from, pattern killer. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting too. I'm telling you, watch Long Legs because Long
mm,
Legs has something that kind of takes from this a little bit too, a little bit. More with birthdays than just every 3 weeks. But yeah, so he has a pattern technically. I don't think he's not leaving notes or anything though. It's not like the Zodiac Killer where he's
nothing.
leaving. Yeah, so it's literally like I'm gonna target teenagers who are making out in the woods, which is kind of what Jason does.
At
Kill
night,
them.
at
Yeah,
night,
kills them at night while they're making out, and robs them. That's the thing. He is like a member of society. Like he's got clothes. He doesn't live in the woods. He's not like Michael Myers who eats dogs and lives in a house. Like this guy, and later, way later in the movie, he's in that restaurant and he's sitting in the restaurant. We see his back. So he's enough of a normal person to be able to get into a restaurant, sit down and order food.
that's what makes it scary enough. Like knowing that
Yeah.
a complete raging psychopath is out there.
And he's just in your town, and they really hit that point home that it could be anybody. They're always just focusing on a pair of black shoes, and they're like, it could be
Hmm.
anybody with black boots or whatever. Um, so yeah, so now at this point, we get the Texas Ranger who comes in, and I think his name is Morales, and
Yeah,
I liked him. He was cool.
yeah.
Yeah, Ben Johnson as Captain JD Morales, the Texas Ranger. Dude, I thought he was, what it reminded me of? It was Alligator. It's like, oh, we got to bring in this, like, and Jaws, I guess, too, kind of.
Like a Quint action almost. Yeah, yeah.
Sort of, but I felt like this guy was just like, I don't know. I liked him. He was badass.
This guy like definitely is like a bigger town, seen more shit kind of like person. He's like, I've seen this kind of stuff. Almost
Yeah.
attitude, you know.
Oh, yeah.
He was
So,
older too. He was a little older than these younger detectives
yeah.
also.
Yeah, and he knew serial killers, I guess, but even back then it's like, do we even really know what this is? Like, so he knew that, all right, we know how to catch this guy. Don't talk to the press, like really keep it insulated.
Mhm.
We got to figure out what's going on. And then I'm trying to remember what happens. More people get killed, I think.
Was it the trombone scene? Was it the prom? There's like a prom night scene. I mean, it like there's like threes. There was like the opening, then there was the other lovers, and then there was the prom one, right?
Yeah, so I guess Morales comes in. They do that stakeout scene where they get Sparkplug, the
Right,
director, to
right.
dress up as
Yep.
a
Yeah,
woman.
which was kind of funny in
I
some
feel like
ways.
it
I
it
don't.
hurt the movie a little bit to try and make it
He
comedic
looked
though.
awful.
So stupid. So then the killer doesn't go for them, but there's these people at the prom that are just like, "Oh, we should go sneak away." And she's like, "Well, I think there's a killer on the loose." And it's like, "He
L-
probably won't be there." It's like, "Why would you think he
Listen,
wouldn't be there?"
a man's brain, like Robin Williams says, has a penis and a brain and only enough blood to work one at the same time. That's the best Rob, and this is the situation. He's thinking with this being, he's like, "There's a killer out there. Well, I could get laid still." Like that's all
Pretty
he was
much.
thinking. So
No, yeah, because this guy literally is like, let's just go out to the in the middle of the woods. There's a curfew, and that's it. So they go out, and this is like probably the most like intense, nah, second most intense action scene of the movie. I mean, it's just like car, like he's holding out of the car, getting swung around. The driver, they're freaking out. He like lets the woman go for a minute, but then he doesn't, and he kills the boy, ties her up to a tree, so she's got her back like tied up, and then
Yeah.
he takes a trombone, puts a knife on it, and then blows it, and it just keeps like stabbing into her, which like I
I
kind of
like how he
wish,
was trying to make the noise but couldn't because of the bag on his face too. But
yeah,
it also made it look even more disturbing. Like he's getting mad that he can't play it or something. And
yeah,
like yeah, that scene was pretty that's probably in 5 years if you ask me. Have you seen the town? Is that the scene with the trombone? Like that's
yeah.
what I'm gonna remember the most, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely the most like notorious kill. It's like the hair curling iron inside of the girl in sleepaway camp, like that kind of
Mm.
shit. I think that's more intense, but this was still like damn. Yeah, so that girl gets killed. The police are like, fucking fuck, like what is going
Yeah.
on? Like we gotta figure this out. And they're like, we should have had people all around this town. It's like, dude, we literally have no more resources. And he's like, well, you gotta figure it out.
Yeah, and it makes you think like what else could they do? Like be in every court like how else do you prevent? Like kids are gonna sneak off. It's like what do we do?
Yeah,
And they
because
kids are going to sneak off into places where other people aren't there except for this phantom.
yeah, they make a pretty good point to show like the police were driving around in unmarked and marked cars, like no other people were on the streets but these cars. And you're like, okay, well, clearly they shouldn't be having a prom then, probably. Like that probably wasn't a good idea to have all these kids there. And a lot of them are drinking. They see you see them pouring the alcohol into the punch, you know. So yeah, so another set of murders happen, and they're like, "All right, I like don't know what to do at this point," and they're just in the town. But now this was something I thought was really interesting. There are people that are saying they committed the murders, and like a couple people do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, why the hell back then would anybody? I mean, even now it's weird, but they're like, maybe I'll get a Netflix documentary about me. But like, why would you cop to the murder in 1946 where like nobody would think this was cool or whatever?
I think these are a lot of different people with records already that just want to become notorious. I don't know.
I know, but I feel like the first, I mean, I'm definitely wrong, but I feel like the first one that I know of is Manson. And that was, 20 years after this. So I'm just
Mm.
trying to think like who, like Jack the Ripper? You think you're gonna be Jack the Ripper or something like that from London? I mean, I don't know. Um, so yeah, so anyways, a bunch of people start confessing to the murders, and they're like, this isn't, the Texas Ranger guy knows. He's like, these aren't the killers. Like, I know they're not the killers. So then we get one scene where this guy comes in and he's like, yeah, this guy just robbed my truck. And he said, I'm the one that killed all those kids or
Yeah.
whatever. And they're like, okay, we got to go find this guy or whatever. So they see this guy driving a nice car or whatever, and they chase him down. And this is like a pretty extensive action car chase scene in the 40s, just like two pretty old shitty cars, just like driving through a
Just
field, basically.
off-roading. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool because you don't see this that often with like old cars.
But you
Sinners,
also think like this is the way they shot this is how they drove the car. Like there is no like Michael Bay effects to this. No, that
no,
someone is driving that car and just boom, boom, like just ow
yeah.
my back, like hitting his
Oh,
head on a steering wheel without an airbag. You know what I mean?
definitely. But speaking of which, before that, also, at the end of the movie, before I forget, when the train's coming, there is a shot, and I saw it like as clear as day, of a guy with no shirt sitting on the back of it with a camera, and I was
Yeah,
just like, oh my
I
God.
didn't catch that. I didn't
Yeah.
catch that, but yeah, I'm sure
I
that
mean,
happened a lot
what
in
are
the
you gonna
70s.
do? Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? But um, but yeah, so you can tell low budget, but still really impressive that they had these. It's like the Biff's car from Back to the Future in like a fucking off-roading. It was pretty crazy.
And then it goes into the water too,
Yeah, I loved that scene, dude, where he crashes into the ocean or into the
the
pond or
swamp or
whatever,
bayou or
and they
whatever.
get out, and it's just like, how come nobody told me the road didn't end there or whatever? It's just like. And then again, he's like, "Hey, shut up!" Like, he just sounds like that guy's had enough of that spark plug guy. I love
Yeah.
that. So yeah, then they get there, they arrest the guy that they were just chasing. He's like, "I did it. I killed everybody or whatever, and I stole this guy's money and all that stuff." And they're like, "That wasn't the killer." And they're
Well,
like,
yeah, your boy, what was his name, Morales? He's
"Yeah,
like, he's not the killer. Like he could tell, like this guy doesn't have his thick enough skin to do that. And then he like sends his like big husky cop friend. He's like, I'm gonna sit in the back with him and
yeah."
ride back to the police station. Is that okay with you, boss? And it's like, ooh, I wish we could see that scene because this guy is like
punching
Like,
shit. Yeah.
yeah, oh, dude, just like murdering. I'm
I
not gonna
hate
see that.
also hate mustaches like that guy had, where it's just like the curly tip at
Oh,
the
it's
end.
horrible.
It's so gross.
That guy, oh, I wouldn't want to sit in the back of a police car with him.
No,
Mm-mm.
no, no. Yes.
Oh, and then they
So
had that shitty scene where he's about to get in the car again with Sparkplug. He's like, I'm not driving with you anymore.
yeah,
And
I
it's like
like
more
that.
con that was probably the best
Yeah.
comedy part, honestly.
Yeah, that was the best because that was like a believable joke. Yeah, because like he like realizes like, oh wait, I'm not driving with this idiot
Yeah,
again.
I'm like,
Like
this
I
guy's
like
not
that.
driving me.
Yeah,
Like
no, I love that. So then I think the next two scenes, I can't remember which order they go in, but I think it's the dinner where they're all at dinner and they bring in like a psychologist and he's like
mm,
talking about how he's got like mother issues probably and like all this stuff. And that's why he bites the women and it's not about sex for him. It's a different type of release. And it's like trying to, for back then.
pinpoint
Yeah.
anything.
And in 1946, they must have thought like this guy's crazy then because nowadays we'd be like, okay, yeah, he's crazy because we've seen so many movies about psychopaths and all this stuff. But in 1946, you're probably like, God damn, like this guy's just biting backs and doing all this weird stuff and yeah, it was a interesting scene, but the most interesting part of that scene is that while they're all talking at the dinner, it like the camera like pans over and it insinuates that this guy with his back to the camera is the killer and he's listening in on the whole thing. And, and they're like, we're not going to catch this guy. Like your chances are not good of finding him. And he's just sitting
There's
there
a
like,
scene later that's my favorite part of the movie I'll tell you about. But
yeah.
uh yeah, so we go from this dinner, which was good, to what
The
was that the couple in the house, right?
Yeah. So this was again like, dude,
Random.
no, but I
Totally
liked
random.
it because it felt like Halloween a little bit. Like the rest of it was, okay, you have to be these lovers going out making out in the woods. This is like, no, he's coming to your house. He doesn't even care. It's like it mixes Freddy, I mean, not Freddy, it mixes Jason and Michael Myers into like one character. He'll
Kind
come
of
to you.
what's the Nightcrawler kind of as well, like going into houses. But he didn't go in the house. He was outside of it, but
He would
like
have gone in probably. But
yeah.
the fact that he stalks your house and he'll kill you if you come into the woods, it's like this guy's everywhere. So it was
Yeah.
like,
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
matter. He's a random killer too.
Yeah, he did. He really equal opportunity killer. He'll kill everybody. I mean, he didn't kill any animals, but he'll kill everybody else. Yeah. So like, I thought that was another cool angle. Like, he is a hunter and he's also a spider waiting for prey to come. I was like, this guy, I don't know.
But a
Um,
vulnerable killer, he knows when some you're not ready. Also, I think
yeah,
vulnerability is like putting yourself in a vulnerable position is the main reason why he kills these people on Lover's Lane, these people just chilling in their house without their windows pretty much blinds open.
yeah.
And I think that was the fear of the town. The town realized there's a killer out there that will just shoot you from your window.
And so that's the thing, dude. Like Michael Myers, when he breaks into someone's house, he's not thinking about the police. He's not thinking about being quiet. He doesn't care about anything. He's just going in there and he's just murdering. This guy has a silencer. This guy is watching his prey to see when they leave. Michael would have just smashed his arm through and grabbed
Yeah.
the guy. Like this guy is watching in the window, waiting for people. And I was like, damn, he's like Ghostface too. He's like kind of clumsy
Michael
and
was more boogeyman-ish. He would do things like boogeyman, like scare you and stuff too, though. Sorry.
yeah.
Had to throw that in there.
He was. He definitely would like set up the gravestone or would have bodies drop out of stuff. And this guy's more like, I gotta get out of here because I don't want to get caught. So it's like this guy is a real psychopath. He's got a silencer.
Which is
Yeah.
terrifying because it's as real as it can be.
And he's smart. I mean, he has a silencer. So I don't know. I thought that was yeah. So but he breaks into that house. He doesn't kill them though. The woman gets away. And he does kill the guy, shoots the guy in the head like twice. And then the
Which the
woman,
scene with the woman going to the houses was very similar to Jamie Lee Curtis
I
going.
know.
It was like I was like, okay,
Dude, everything like a lot of shit pulls from this
there's
movie.
there's no doubt John Carpenter didn't see this movie before Halloween
Oh,
and was like, I could do this in 4 years, make it better, add music to it,
it wasn't
and
four
make it
years. It was 2 years. This came
you're
out in
right. Two
76.
years,
Yeah.
2 years. Yeah. So there's no doubt in my mind. So I would love to ask him that question if I ever was on a panel. I might have to look it up after this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but it is really interesting. Yeah, so that's like the final murders, and basically the cops at this point have like kind of given up, and they're just driving. Like, I guess we're just gonna go like drive around and hope we find him at this
That was
point.
my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah,
Was
what is it?
when him and the deputy, Morales and the deputy were driving, and he asked him like, "Are you ever going to catch him?" And he goes, "Do you want an official answer or a private answer?"
Yeah,
He goes, "Private." And he goes, "It'll take a miracle."
yeah,
That's all he says.
I
It'll take a
know.
miracle, which
And
means like not yes or no, but it's yeah. And then they get a call on the radio. Hey, we found that car description or whatever, right? Wasn't that
yeah,
what
no, it's
happened
just so
next?
funny that they're saying like it'll take a 1 in a million chance, and all of a sudden
And
it's
it's
like
like,
we got the guy.
hey,
Yep,
we got
he's here. It's like okay.
pretty much.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then he's like, I think we might have found our miracle. And they go, they find this black car with the matching license plate, daylight
Yeah.
too.
Different.
Um,
Yeah.
and
The scene reminded me of like Planet of the Apes. Like it was like they're
well,
the
they're like
guys.
climbing the mountains like
Yeah.
gorillas almost because they had to
Yeah.
like really get on all fours to get up the hill and stuff.
And
And
then the Phantom's just like standing there
he's
with his
kind of like
bag.
sitting. What is he sitting like?
No,
He's like
he was just standing like looking into like the field, and then all of a sudden they shoot, and then he like
no,
gets
but
down.
he is in the stance though, like you know, kind of squatted down like
Yeah.
Wu-Tang Clan,
It's
like
it was weird. I don't know what he was doing, but he was just standing off in the distance.
with the fucking mask on in
Yeah.
the summer. Like, what are you doing,
I
dude?
know. They should have had a couple like in the distance or whatever that he was like stalking because it was really random for him to just be in that field, just like looking at nothing. And then they're like, there he is. But I will say, I saw, or I can't believe if I read it or I saw it on a video, but they were saying that the deputy guy, not Morales, the other guy, he wrote the last like third of the movie because they didn't have an ending to the script because there is no ending to the story. The monster, the bad guy gets away. So this was all, he wrote this idea. He's like, what if there's like a train and he goes to the other side and we can't get him? So the director was like, I like it. Like, let's just shoot this scene. So this whole scene was a last minute addition that that actor came up with. And then the other thing that's crazy about it is they were so hungover for the shot. Like those two
What?
actors, apparently they went out the night before shooting this and got shit faced, and they were both
Nice.
extremely hungover for this scene.
Very,
So
very Robert Shaw action.
that's like
Oliver Reed.
that's the thing. The Robert Shaw scene from Jaws where he does this, he's just sitting down. This is like, all right, you guys are gonna be in the sun. You're gonna be
Oh
carrying guns,
God. In
running.
New Orleans, I was hungover in New Orleans once. Never again.
This isn't New
Net
Orleans.
took
This is
well, like the around the area, but like,
yeah.
I mean, South Bayou kind of swampland, dude. Nothing is worse than being hung over in humidity with fucking mosquitoes biting. Like, oh,
Yeah.
nothing, nothing.
So these guys were apparently the actors were super shit faced, and the actor wrote the last scene. So I was like, okay, that's fun, I guess. So yeah, the last scene they find the Phantom. They're shooting at him. The Phantom's running. They're chasing after him. Pretty cool scene. And the Phantom just gets. There's a train coming. He jumps to the other side of the track. The train
No, no, he gets
goes.
shot in the leg.
That was after he jumped to the other
Mora
side.
oh, right. He jumps to the other side, but
Yeah.
Morales shoots him in the
Yeah.
leg.
Yeah. So he takes a shotgun and he shoots him, but he's on the other side of the tracks at this point. And you're like, all right, well, how long is this train? And like, could he really
I
get
also
away?
thought he was going to Cape Fear her ass. And
Yeah, that would have been better.
didn't you think that? Because
That would have
the
been
train,
better.
there's a shot where the train is just like going by the two deputies. And it's like, what if he's on the train? You just lost him again,
That would have been so
which
much better.
could have
Yeah.
been better. Instead, he's like, ow, ow. And just like still
Yeah.
with the mask on running through the bayou. And I'm
I
like,
know.
oh my
I
God,
know.
they're going to get
Yeah.
him.
I know. That was such a stupid way to end it. Don't shoot him with a shotgun in the leg and then him escape. But you're like, he wouldn't escape. This is a regular guy. This isn't the boogeyman. This is a regular guy.
So this
So,
didn't happen though. No one was shot. The
no,
Phantom wasn't shot. What would
no.
be cool is if in 10 years there's a construction site on a bayou and it's like, hey, we found a body. It was shot in the leg. It's like, oh my God, he did die in the swamp. Like,
Well, we're not done, but there's a sequel. So
okay.
there's a sequel.
Which
So
came
in
out when? 2000.
2014, and that was done by Jason Blum from Blumhouse and Ryan Murphy from American Horror
Yep.
Story.
That's
So I'm like,
fantastic.
And it's interesting because that was before Halloween or Scream did their direct sequel that was the same title. So it's like they didn't call it The House That Still Dreads Sundown or whatever.
Does it take place in like
Yeah,
2014?
it's if you watch the trailer, I only watched the trailer, and he's just like, "So you were saying 60 years ago, Grandma, this happened in your town?" And she's like, "Oh, we don't talk about
So
that." And it's
a
like,
90-year-old coming back to town and
I don't know.
messing.
We don't
That's
know. We don't
dope.
know. It's
That's
60
dope.
years later because this was 10 years ago. So, but yeah, so it was anyway, so that the way that it ends is basically they're like, well, the killer got away and he could still be in this town. And then it shows this really cool ending of all of these people in line to go see this movie in that town. And
In the
they're like,
70s, we're now in
yeah.
1976.
Yeah, and it's
So it
showing
jumps exact. I loved it. Yeah.
and then it like just scrolls to someone's feet and it's got the same black shoes that the Phantom wears. It's like he could still be walking around to this day. And you're like,
And
damn,
he's walking forward, and I'm like, I'm kind of looking at how he's walking. I'm like, is he limping? Is there a limp? You know what I
there
mean?
should
Like
be. Yeah.
I
But
saw a little hint of a limp, so I'm like, that's what caught me for a second.
well, yeah, so it ends just kind of like, well, he got away. But the real story, he did get away. And apparently the families of the survivors sued the
I read
production
that. I
company.
read
Yeah.
that's one thing I read up on. I checked out the Wikipedia page for all the budget and stuff, and I saw that there was like the brother of the sister who was killed sued because it was too close to home.
Yeah.
Which I mean, yeah,
Well,
it's
it raises the question,
based.
when is it okay? Because like they just did that with the Dahmer family thing, like or the Dahmer Netflix show. Like all those people are like, "Yo, that was my family. Like, why are you making this like a TV show? Like, this is crazy." I'd be upset if my family got killed by somebody and then they just made it into a movie for money. Like, I'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Look at what was his name? The guy who played Dahmer. His acceptance speech when he won the award, that says it all. He's like, I feel very uncomfortable accepting an award about this. Like,
I don't know
it
that.
was, it was Evan Peters when he
Yeah,
won the an Emmy or something or Golden. I don't know what he won,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he was just like, "Thank you. It just feel bad for all the victims." That's like pretty much what his acceptance speech was. It's like people still died. Like
That's yeah.
it's kind of messed up, and like it's like we forget that, like, yeah, we dramatize these things, but like, hey, you know, can't really do that.
They should have kind of done what Texas Chainsaw Massacre did and just change enough of it. And because they really leaned into like, nope, this happened and this is where it
Texarkana
happened.
like the town
Yeah.
could have been fake. Like you could
Yeah,
have done a
yeah.
little different, but it's like no, we're keeping it like kind of real. It's very
Yeah.
close to home.
I mean, literally on the poster it says true based, not even based. This is a true story.
What was it on Wikipedia about? They had to change something on the billboard, right? Or something, some kind of poster. Can you
I,
look that up real quick?
yeah, well, it says like he still lurks the streets of Texarkana, and that's what it says on the poster. And I think people are like, you have to take this down. Like, we live here. Like,
I
this
know,
is
like this guy is still out here. Like,
yeah. Well, apparently now it's been so long and nothing's happened or whatever. So now it's kind of a big deal there. Like they
well,
celebrate it now.
didn't this film also technically premiere in Texarkana like 20 days before it premiered too? Can you find that
Uh,
somewhere?
maybe.
I read that and I was like, imagine leaving that theater thinking like the guy is in the theater in the town that
Yeah.
like that is messed up. But
Yeah, I
you
don't
know,
know. It doesn't say when it got released in the town, but
I'll have to send it to you. But I saw they did like a screening of it in Texarkana before it released.
no, I mean
So
it's a meta movie before meta movies were even a thing.
mhm.
Also, I mean, I loved the poster. That was kind of what always drew me in.
Very cool.
And the guy that did that poster did Back to the Future and Star Wars,
Mm,
apparently. So he did some
that's cool.
good movie posters. Um,
Hell yeah.
and the
Also,
last thing,
the title's amazing. The Town That
yeah,
Dreaded Sundown is such a cool title.
it got wasted on this though. That would have been a good vampire movie. I feel like that's like perfect for vampires. But
I mean, it's like 30 Days, 30 Nights could have been the Alaskan town that dreaded sundown kind of thing. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Well, 30 days, that's specific because that's only in that area that it's going to be dark for 30 straight days. But But yeah, no, overall, like, it's got its flaws. It was made in 1976 or whatever. Like, it's not perfect, but I mean, for originality, for like, leaning into the realness of what this was, the source material was, like, this is a kind of a 70s slasher treasure that really got overlooked.
If it had a knife involved, it would be a slasher. It was a gun mostly.
He used everything. I don't like the
True.
guns. Yeah, I don't like guns for slasher movies, but he didn't just use guns. He did a lot though.
Mostly was, yeah, that would be his weapon, I think was the silencer. But
I don't like guns with slasher movies. But there is a
very cool movie.
sequel. We should probably cover the sequel. I want to know how this ends, like, what they do.
Yeah, next wheel, no doubt. This will be
Yeah.
on it, 100%. And then the last thing, how it ends is like, oh, the couple that survived, they grew old and they passed away in 1985. And then
Oh
Sheriff
yeah.
Morales, he got syphilis and then died of this. Like, I wish they went like they literally named characters like, oh yeah, I forgot about that character. Oh yeah, that character. Yeah. And it's like the bloodhounds that chased after him got all kinds of gangrene from going through the swamps, and they all died in the vet the next day. Like I wanted them to like keep going almost. Mr. Johnson somehow died of AIDS. Like
Well, there's no final girl, and I mean, there's like a
no.
main
There is
character.
I think the last girl is technically the final girl
Oh
because
no.
she's the only one alive after that whole like and then this lady and she was like and she lives well and still in Texarkana. That's how it kind of ends.
Yeah, but a final girl has to be like the lead or like a major character. Like this woman just came in at the end and survived. Like, so the leads are definitely the two, like the Texas Ranger and the police
Mm.
officer, but that's something different. Doesn't have a final girl, doesn't have a love story or love interest at all. And another thing that like it's kind of interesting, it made me think about this. Like this guy is a killer that doesn't want to get caught, so he wears a mask because like if you're gonna wear a mask, you're presuming like you're gonna do something wrong, you don't want to
You
get
want to
caught.
hide your identity.
So it
Yeah.
made me think, why does Jason and Michael Myers wear masks? Because they don't care. They're just murderers. So why are they covering their face? They don't care about getting caught. You know?
Hmm.
It made me think about it. This guy definitely should be covering his face, but those guys are supernatural murderers and they're not going to jail, you know? Well, I guess
Like
Michael does.
Freddy doesn't
He
give a
doesn't because
shit.
he's a dream demon or whatever. But Michael Myers and Jason, by that logic, shouldn't wear masks. Like Scream, they don't want to get caught. That's why they're wearing the masks until the end. They were like, we're gonna. But I was like, why would Michael care?
Obviously, it's scarier, and
Well,
Michael
yeah.
probably think it's like boogeyman-ish.
Why does
My take.
Jason, what, your beloved hockey mask?
Jason's mask we could talk about that for hours about how he switched from being deformed to a paper bag to or whatever
The
what kind
sack.
of that a sack
Yeah,
to the hockey mask. It was a little random, but also a little 80s-ish slasher, and
I
for
guess.
kids more. I don't know.
Yeah, a hockey mask was always a weird choice, but anyways, yeah,
It worked.
definitely.
It worked.
It did. It somehow did, but yeah, this is definitely a movie I think that if you like slasher movies, check it out. If you like,
Mm.
anything from the 80s, this is kind of a lot of it stemmed from this. And Halloween cast a huge shadow over this movie, and I think a lot of people like you and me too. I mean, I've heard of it, I've never seen it though. It deserves a rewatch. It deserves, I think, a little bit more respect.
Couldn't agree more. And I think if the music
Yeah,
was had something like the Halloween music, different movie
yeah,
altogether.
yeah. So I don't know. Check it out. Give us some respect. This gets no respect. No respect.
Yes, respect your elders.
All
Yeah,
right. I was doing
yeah. Spin
Rodney
the wheel.
Dangerfield. I felt like you did Bernie Sanders.
Hey, I did like respect your elder. That was a
The
Rodney
billion
thing.
is to get no respect. No,
No, no, no. The top 1% of the top 1% of horror movies. No, I'm kidding.
he's right. All right, let's spin the wheel. Let's spin the wheel.
All right. It's our app on our phone. For now, we're getting a real wheel next video. Ready? Spinning. Bats? What the hell's bats?
Oh, yes. All
What the
right.
hell's bats? I've never heard of bats. Is
It's
it like
from
birds?
It's like Birds. It's from 1999, so it's a movie that when we were kids, I don't remember it at all.
No idea what this movie
Dude,
is.
this is like eight-legged freaks with bats, basically. But from 1999. I don't remember anything about it though, but
Okay.
Dude, I
Sign me
put
up.
I put a lot of movies on this wheel specifically that came out when we were young that you hadn't seen. So like Final Destination, Bats,
Hmm.
couple other ones that I'm like, okay, these are from that time. So
Have you seen Bats?
when I was a kid, I don't remember it at all though. So we'll see.
Okay.
It's probably terrible, but we'll see. But
I got a feeling it's
anyways,
terrible.
yeah, no, it is.
But
Uh,
not our podcast about it. Our podcast about it's going to be great. So listen
it'll be
in.
fun because it's so bad, the movie. Yeah. But all right. Well, everybody, thank you very much for listening into our discussion on The Town That Dreaded Sundown. We'll see you next week with Bats.